Hi everyone, as promised, I am going to show you just some basic steps, kind of a review of rendering our simple floor plan of assignment 2. Basically what you see on screen, as you know, we've made a PDF from AutoCAD. This PDF is the floor plan at a scale of 1/8 inch. You're going to keep it at 1/8 inch because that's a pretty standard scale. When a PDF comes in, you are seeing this checkered background. Why? Because it's transparent, and anytime you have a transparent background, it's always this checkered pattern. Off to the right, you will see under your layer palette, or layers palette, a layer 1. That is typical. Immediately what I do is I just rename it, and I rename it line drawing. And that keeps it on its own special layer. Next, I make a new layer, and I call it background, because this transparent background is not going to help us, right, for finished rendering. So we want to create that background layer. We want to basically move it to the bottom of the stack order, because that'll be the bottommost layer. And what we're going to do here is we are going to paint, using the paint bucket tool in Photoshop, the entire background so that we can obviously see our floor plan much easier. So I just go on here to the palette on the left. I select my paint bucket. In the upper left hand corner, you want to make sure that it's set to foreground. Sometimes it'll be set to pattern when you start getting into creating your own patterns, which we're going to do right after this. So foreground color, or foreground option. All the way at the bottom on this left hand side palette, our foreground color is white, which is what I want. And so all you have to do, and mind you, that was because I snapped on the white color swatch, if you will, so I'm going to cancel that. And then all you want to do is just snap, not on your floor plan, but basically in blank space, somewhere in checkered land, right? So you want to highlight that. Right away, you can see your floor plan much easier. We made a PDF from AutoCAD, but you can also export an EPS file and bring it in very similar. I did a PDF just because I've been talking about PDFs the whole entire semester, so I just wanted to make it easy. Another thing that you might notice right away, the obvious, is these labels at the north, south, west, and east side of your sheet of paper, and ours happens to be a letter size. If you highlight your line drawing layer, you can just go ahead in Photoshop and select your rectangular marquee, and you can just highlight them all and hit delete on your keyboard, and you will erase that student version Autodesk product. So if you are like I, and you went ahead and downloaded AutoCAD for free because you're either a student or a faculty member, you most likely have that tag on anything that you make a print of, which is great. I mean, you know, one thing we're learning is how to get rid of things we don't want, right? Which is good in a program. Anyway, I have not saved. That's not good. So let me go ahead and save really quick. And I'm just going to put this in a basic folder. Excuse me. And I'm just going to name this what it is. Okay. Moving on, now it's time to add some layers that are actually going to be depicting realistic materials like brick or wood floor or concrete pavers or carpet. In our case, I am going to show you the images first. So I opened up and I'm using and showcasing kind of a light to medium stain oak floor, very generic, and then I'm also going to show you guys how to define a pattern of this concrete paver tile. So let's start with the wood. First, what we want to do in Photoshop is we want to define the pattern, and you pretty much have the image open, and we talked about tileable images. I asked you guys to create a Pinterest board showcasing those 20 finishes, 5 flooring, 5 wall covering, and on and on. You did a great job. Literally, that's what I have open here. So first thing I want to do is go to, in Photoshop, the pull down menu, edit, and I just want to define the pattern. When this pops up, you'll be asked for a name. I try to always be short and sweet naming conventions, because if it's not short and sweet, I'm not going to find it. So I want to find it right away. So very much like I said to you guys earlier, my caps lock is on light oak, and I'm gonna actually add fluorine. It could be anything else, but this just kind of gives me a reminder, and I'm going to hit OK. That's all I need to do there. Same thing with this concrete mid-century design tile. Again, maybe more exterior than interior, but that's okay. Again, I'm going to select edit, and I'm just going to define the pattern. And it's not that I don't care about the size of the image or the scale of the image, but the way that I'm going to show you how to apply it in your floor plan rendering, it's going to be very easy for you to scale. So define pattern. Again, name it. I'm going to actually say exterior concrete paver or pavers. Okay, going back to the floor plan. Okay, now I want to create some layers. I'm going to create a new layer. I'm going to call this wood floor. And again, use naming conventions that you're going to remember, not that I'm using. So, if you prefer to just say floor, but again, this is the floor plan. We can have about 3 to 4 different kinds and types of floors in this floor plan. So you kind of want to be a little creative, right? So I'm calling it out as the finish that it is, and then what it actually is going on. So wood flooring, and then I'm going to make another one and just call it concrete pavers. Again, pretty much meant for the exterior, but I'm cheating a little bit here. Okay, so what you want to do when you begin to render, whether it's a floor plan or elevation, you always want to select the object that you want to render from your line drawing layer. So I'm on the line drawing layer, or current on it. I'm going to use my magic wand. Again, on the left side palette, your magic wand is 4th from the bottom, or 4th from the top. It's a new selection. I have my tolerance set to 20. I can beef that up, but I think I'm pretty good at 20 because, as you guys can see, the floor plan's pretty rectilinear. And then I'm gonna add that wood flooring to my elevator lobby. So I'm just gonna snap in the interior of it till you see obviously a moving selection shape of the elevator lobby. And then now that I have the selection, I'm going to change my layer to the wood floor. I am going to go to the pull down menu at the top called layer, and I'm going to go to new fill layer, and I'm going to select pattern. And by us defining pattern of those materials earlier, I should be able to select them from actually pretty much your material pattern library, if you will. And so when I select pattern here, you get a little pop-up window. It asks for the name. I usually name it the same, so wood flooring. Keep myself nice and organized as much as I can. I keep everything else default settings, opacity 100%, color none, mode normal, use previous layer to create clipping mask. I'm not doing any detail like that, so I'm just hitting OK here, very generic. And immediately you'll get a pop-up window about the same size called pattern fill, and on the left hand side you'll see an image of it, but that's not my wood, right? Because that's the last material that I defined a pattern, but the wood that I actually want is this one to the left. And again, if you leave your cursor there, it'll tell you the name of it, which will help a little bit. I'm going to hit or select the window again. This is where scale-wise, again, these are, for those of you guys that drew this up in AutoCAD, that these door openings to the elevator is actually about 4 foot wide. So when you think about a plank and how wide this would be, so these planks are looking at 15, 16, 17 inches in depth or width, if you will. I'm going to make it a little smaller, and how you do that is right under scale you can hit that little black inverted arrow, and you can just play a little bit game. Oh, well, besides the arrow, again, which might be hard to see, you can also just change the size. So again, what does 80 look like? And it instantly changes. Again, if I zoom in, Control plus might help a little bit, right guys? But again, also be careful because I am selected in my view, and I'm actually moving my material more than anything, and that's okay. Literally, as you know, if you grab your pan tool, you can shift material. You know, maybe you don't like the lineup of the planks, which of course we don't like. That's why it's magical in Photoshop. But here is where, and you guys could hear that I was getting dinged. That's okay. I'm liking this size more, but I think I want to go 65. Yeah, so a plank here is about a foot wide. Actually more like 11 inches, but again, it looks good. I like it. Definitely I want to link it to the layer, and I'm just going to hit OK here. And Control minus zooms out, Control plus zooms in. Again, basic stuff. I like what I've done so far. I'm going to save really quick so I don't lose anything. So I'm happy with what I have. I'm going to do the same thing with the concrete pavers. Again, select your line drawing. Select what you want to select or render. So again, I'm going to grab my magic wand and I'm going to select that opposite corridor. Again, I'm going to then select the layer that's called concrete paver, and I am going to go to the pull down menu, layer, new fill layer, pattern, and again, this is going to be concrete pavers. I'm not sure how important it is to name the new layer, but again, because we've already named it, but that's okay. And then again, the last defined pattern is that pattern. You could see right away it is too large, so immediately, besides closing this, I'm actually going to just add like 80. Oh, still too big. Let's try 50. Getting better. I kind of like that. It would be great if it was that size, but I'm kind of curious what 40 looks like. I like it even more. So, you know, again, this is where, again, if you just grab your pan tool, you can shift. And this is a little bit of an optical illusion that's happening. The image is straight, but it looks a little crooked. So again, you just kind of play, you know, think about if this floor was really being installed down this corridor, you know, what do we want it to look like? Do we want it centered, which I think I like best, or do we want to try to fit two full circles as much as possible? That one I would have to play with a little bit from a design perspective. But with that said, again, this could be this simple. I could hit OK, and you can see what happens in your layers is a layer mask has been created, which is great. So anyway, that's just a little couple minute video reminder how to begin renderings, whether it's a floor plan, an elevation, or a section. I hope this is super helpful. I'm about to make a couple more, so hang on. I know we only have a couple weeks left for the semester, but you guys are doing great. So hang in there and we'll talk again. Okay, ciao.